Yeah.
All right, good evening. This is the regular meeting of the town council. It's November 16th. We just finished a public hearing that kicked off at 6. It's now 8:55 PM. Tonight's agenda, we're going to ask for public comment. Obviously, there's nobody left, so we'll move through that. We need to approve minutes from October 19th, 2022. Can I have a motion to approve? Any deletions, corrections? Okay. Stand is unanimous consent. Thank you very much. Moving on, first selectmen's update. Kevin, you want to give us a quick update?
Taking public comments on the agenda item?
Well, I will take public comment. Is there any public comment? Tucker, you have anybody on Zoom that wants to comment?
No, can I just confirm that we don't have Luke there? Luke is not there, correct?
Oh, yes, Luke is not there. Should we take roll again?
It's all right, as long as I know Luke's not there. Okay, thank you.
So everyone present.
So for the record, I could just say that
read it
it's
off.
the same attendance as I took at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, but Mike came in late, I think, so I had to lock him.
And so did Christina, and it's so noted on the
Thank you,
attendance sheet.
thank you,
We're all present. 11 of us are here.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, Kevin, you have the floor.
Okay, good evening again.
Good evening.
Um,
Getting late.
COVID, I'll be very quick. COVID is still with us, as Tucker knows.
Is that mic off again? I can't hear you. Pull that a little
It's
closer.
on, the blue light's on.
Is it?
Hello?
It's a little
Well, I'm
bit-
close.
Okay,
can
there
hear
you
me.
go. Good.
There's nobody out in the public anymore. I don't think.
Well, we can't hear you, so.
All right, I'll talk into the microphone. COVID, we're still doing vaccinations and boosters and testing at Irwin House, as you know, so I want to encourage people to be aware. This endemic is not over, and we also have flu shots available, so at the health department. Capital projects, just a quick update. Obviously, everyone has seen the nice repaved Upper Elm Street and the Main Street. The gas is connected to the Upper Elm Street businesses. Elm Street between Main and Park is obviously still being torn up by Aquarian to get the water pipes in. And we will not get to Maple Street. I'm sorry, Elm Street repaving until next spring. But Maple Street, as you know, is closed and is being redone for the library. And 220 Elm, Board of Ed is about to go out to bid on their renovation project. The Aquarian 36-inch pipe, they're almost finished with Lakeview Avenue, and then they're going to go into the cemetery itself. And they will be attacking Littlebrook in front of East School next spring. CHP is underway at Lapham Center, or at least the equipment has been ordered. We're trying to get the gas line into Waveney Park before the snow flies. And that will power not only Lapham Center, but also the water tower field lights. And subsequently, we'll extend the gas over to the pool, paddle huts, and White Waveney House, as we previously talked about. Playoffs lease was signed last week with Cinema Lab, as you all know. They did very well on their fundraising.
Right.
The renovations are underway on the outdoors, and we're doing something which the selectmen approved on Tuesday. We've never done before. We're going to do a design build where the contractor, Alden Bailey, who has done a lot of great work for us at Waveney House and is doing the exterior renovations, is going to work with the architects and design as we go. And it'll save a lot of time in terms of trying to put construction documents together and then go out to bid. They're the contractor we want to use. They do great restoration work. And so we haven't done this before, but the selectmen approved doing it.
Who is this for? What project?
Alden Bailey, the Playhouse.
Mm.
So, obviously also working with Carl Rothbart's architect firm. We got a good team, and we're confident we're going to get that project done. We want to open it up by September if possible. This will expedite the process.
So this is the whole concept of restoration and preservation and all those good things. Sorry, I couldn't avoid making a comment.
PD building obviously is moving forward. The owner's rep was, we agreed to select an owner's rep, and we signed in the contract with them. The Locust Avenue lease has been signed for the 39 Locust space for the police to carry forward for 2 years. after the Board of Education vacates next June. Our grant writer Greg Riley's on board and has done a survey of the few grants we get. So there's a lot of runway for him to find grant money, hopefully. The Silver Hill Hospital Urgent Assessment Program is doing very well. The schools are very pleased with it. And I'm having lunch on Thursday with Dr. Gerber and Lauren Patterson to talk about how we're going to pay for next year, because we believe the program is worthwhile, and we have to figure out, ideally, we would get Wilton and Darien and even Richfield to join the party. So, but it's being a very effective service. West Cell Tower, we've already talked about tonight, so I won't update you on that. Waveney Park, you got to go down and see the Bluestone walkways renovation. That was paid for in part by a couple of major donors, but the town split the project overall 50-50 with the Conservancy. So Waveney Park and their surroundings of the house are really looking great, and we've got more planned for next year. So that's my update. Thank you.
Great, Kevin. Thank you so much. Anybody have any quick questions? Okay,
Can I ask a quick question?
sure.
We have arrived. I should have written down ARPA 9 ARPA.
You
We
were
have
gonna
a
get out
round
of
of
here without
ARPA coming.
We're all getting a little sleepy, I could tell.
In light of the article that just came out in the Advertiser about this huge class size coming for kindergarten in the next couple of years, this glut of kids that they're actually counting are New Canaan students, but they're in
Well, hopefully most
lot
of
of
them go to private schools. So
outside of the town. But anyhow,
unless the economy turns, and then we'll have a lot more. ARPA funds, we're going to have another round coming up. I'm not sure we're going to make it in 2 weeks, but we'll probably definitely for your December meeting.
Great.
okay.
Thank you.
Maria, you would have asked anyway.
No, I was good.
All right, next item on the agenda, item number
But I
6.
would remind you that St. A's is rebuilding their school 400 feet from the
Oh,
antennas.
gosh, here we go.
So,
400 feet from
and
where?
the library is 200 feet from the
The antenna.
People are
antennas.
choosing that, they're making the choice to go.
And it's an antenna, not a cell tower. Anyway.
Well, no, it does, same antennas.
Same thing.
Same antennas.
All right, it's not on the agenda, people. Okay, item number 6, interlocal agreement, approval of the request from the New Canaan Fire Department to authorize an agreement between the town of New Canaan and Fairfield County Hazardous Incident Response Team. The purpose of the agreement is to provide for the safe and efficient response to hazardous material spills, natural and man-made regional emergencies, and other incidents. Albie Bassett, welcome. and
Good
thank you for
evening
coming.
again. As a legislative body, you have to approve the first selectman signing any agreements. So we're bringing this to you. We are currently a member of the hazardous materials team. We've been with New Canaan's been with the team and 13 other towns since the 1980s. 99, there was an initial agreement that was signed. And currently, as we're still operating under that, currently the town of Westport handles all the funding, everything, financing bids, everything that has to happen for the hazmat team. What the hazmat team wants to do and why they're coming to all our towns again is they're going to make a make sure the numbers are right, 501c organization for the hazmat team. So that's the change in the interlocal agreement, that we're going from this mutual aid pact between 14 towns to now eventually a 501c, which makes the hazmat team independent for mostly its financials. That way the town of Westport doesn't get hung up with our money that rolls over every year that's in there and the bidding process and everything else. So they're going to allow us to go out as the board of directors down the road as the 501c to do that. So nothing's really changed in the agreement. It opens up a lot of opportunities for the hazmat team. It continues to keep the same coverage and, buy-in by New Canaan. So we can, we still get the same decision-making power that we've always had with the hazmat team. So it's kind of where we are right now. And all we're asking for is the approval for the first selectman to sign into that agreement, as was done in 99.
Any questions from the
Just
council?
one question. Are there any financial implications regarding this change?
The change, no, but I'll be upfront and it's in the budget proposal already. The team is going from a $3,000 annual fee, which is currently written into this, it's going to 3,500 in the next budget year. That's the only impact, but that would have happened whether we were part of this agreement or the current one. So that's just the operational funds to run the team on an annual basis.
Thank you, Albie.
I have a question. Will the public be able to access, if they want to access any documents about hazmat, will it be the same if it's a 501c?
I don't want to, I probably want to give that to Doug Lamonte, who's the lawyer in this, but I would assume being that 501c, it's going to be more open book, which it is now with the town of Westport. They can see all our financials based on our bylaws now. So I don't think anything would change in that, but I don't want to say yes or no, but I'm assuming it would be. But I would have to ask Doug from the lawyer's office who represents the team and actually represents the town of New Canaan.
Kevin,
Question.
are you sure about that? Because I don't, 501c3s don't have the openness into their
Okay.
structures that town.
I'll ask Doug.
Obviously, they're not subject to FOIA, although this is all a conglomeration of towns, so maybe it is subject to FOIA. Much
It's,
stronger argument is subject to FOIA.
yeah, I'll ask Doug.
You might want to find
Yeah.
out because this is 501s have very different structure.
But the members of 501 are the towns that participate.
Correct.
Any other questions?
Motion to
Right.
approve.
All right, Mike
Second.
Morrow makes a motion to approve. Mark Jimsky seconds. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Albie, I just want, before you go, I just want to tell you that I've heard more people say what a great hire you've been for the town.
Well,
And
thanks. I'll try to
including,
keep
I
it up.
ran into a Jack Horner today and he was singing your praises. So thank you very much for coming here and making it seamless. So you've been doing a great job.
Well,
So
thank
we
you.
Appreciate it.
And anytime, come on over, and I was hoping for the committee reports, hopefully at the end, because we had a live Burns last week, 2 weeks ago, and Rita joined us, so hopefully she had some positive things to say. So
Not tonight.
not tonight.
Maybe another time.
Christina has a question for you.
I have a question, and I'm hoping that you can bring it up during the budget process, but what type of equipment do we have or need to put out fires for Tesla batteries installed in houses?
Huh, interesting.
Working on that with
a great
Councilman
question.
Morrow there. So
It's a huge.
we've been talking a lot, water for Teslas, we need water.
Wow.
And I'm actually on a task force with the Connecticut Fire Academy and a bunch of other firefighters around the state and NFPA. It's really just water. Once the initial knockdown happens, then it's just maintaining a certain water flow on it. It could be for a long time. It could be into hours that we're maintaining that. And then once that fires out, then it becomes a tow truck problem that we're working through right now, which is a time and distance is what the car is really going to need based on what we're getting for information. So if it goes to a junkyard, it would have to be, 50 feet away from any structure or any other car. And if it burns up, it burns up.
But if it's in a house, the house burns.
We're
down.
working on tactics for that. If it's in a garage, so our tactics are going to change, that we're going to be using our winches to pull them out. Drag them out, which we would have never did if your gasoline car burned up, we leave it there. So now we have to pull that out in the driveway. So that it's changing a few of our operational things. But any initial attack has not changed. It's a lot of water as fast as we can get on it and start to cool it down. Once we could cool it down and get the main body fire knocked down, then we can maintain the batteries.
Can you work with the planning and zoning department to see what measures they need to institute on the zoning regulations in order to keep
Sure.
those clearances?
Yeah, we're looking at a lot of that with the even with plugging it in and stuff at the
Okay.
state level.
And lastly, what do you have planned in case that there is a cell tower fire?
Well, it's the building would be, just a regular structure fire. There's probably not a lot to burn in it. Any battery backups, just like we did.
No, I'm worried about the trees surrounding the cell tower. A
Brush
lot of
fire-
the wooded
oh,
areas.
I mean, we'd be brush fire tactics, just brush fire lines, bringing them into the woods. And if we're referencing, a familiar one, that one with the access road wouldn't be no different than a grass fire in your backyard that I can't get to. I'd have to stretch a lot of hose and shrink it down to garden hose to get to it. if I needed to,
But the point is, maybe there should be a fire hydrant within a certain distance of a cell tower.
I would like a fire hydrant in every one of you.
I agree.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
it should be
it's-
part of the approval process that this should be installed at the time that a cell tower is installed, whether it be on private property or public property.
Could actually be done at West School because of the.
I'm not talking about West School.
I mean, we can look at, yeah, that's something we could look into.
At the,
And
the aquarium water tank, right there has a lot of water, so that could easily be done there.
Okay.
Other places, you can't do it, you can't, still
Like 1837, you mean?
never get water up there. But you got a reservoir.
You got a
I
reservoir
assume- I
across the
assume
street.
you- And
we could talk further in that. if, you know,
Okay.
For
We gotta-
water supply, definitely.
Just make
That's a-
sure it goes into the budget.
Yep.
Thank you, Albie. And
Thank
thank you for helping everybody over the stone walls
Oh.
yesterday. That was nice. of you.
Oh, that's a big.
Wrong shoes. All right, number 7, accessory dwelling units and multifamily parking requirements. Approval of request from the Planning and Zoning Commission to opt out
They have to.
of the ADU and parking requirements as set forth in Public Act 21-29, Section 8-2 of Connecticut General Statutes. Welcome, Lynn Avenue Brooks. You love late meetings, Lynn.
Yeah. Hi, good evening, everyone. How is everyone tonight?
Right? How was your football banquet?
It was great. Actually, you guys went long, so I got to finish the banquet and come and present to you guys. So it was great. Thank you.
Welcome.
So just to give you guys an overview, PA 21-29 was passed by the Connecticut State Legislature on June 10th of last year, 2021. It became effective on October 1st of 21. And it basically revised parts of Connecticut General Statutes 8-2, which pertain to zoning, basically. It set requirements and limitations that the state had for how accessory dwelling units are regulated by various municipalities. And it also set standards for how parking spaces were regulated and required in multifamily developments. It also, as part of the Public Act, it also gave municipalities, all 169 municipalities across the state, the opportunity to either opt in or opt out of the new rules. And opt out has to be done before January 1st of 2023. And it essentially set a process for how you would opt out, which basically required the Planning and Zoning Commission to hold a public hearing, which they did on September 27th of this year. And then it asked them to affirmatively opt out of the provisions. We had to then actually notice our decision in the paper, which we did. And then the final step was to send it to our town legislative body, which is you guys. And you have to confirm that you would affirmatively opt out of the regulations. So if you choose to opt out, it would finalize the process and New Canaan would be opted out of the regulations. If you choose not to, we're opted in by default. And we're forced to follow the state's regulations for how they regulate accessory dwelling units and multifamily parking requirements. And so just a few notes. New Canaan is part of WestCog, which is a community of which has 18 communities as a part of it. As part of WestCog, almost every community in the WestCog group has already chosen to opt out, including all of the cities. Norwalk, Stamford, and Danbury have all opt out. And sort of send a message to the state. And RP&Z also chose to opt out. Our requirements for ADUs, which are accessory dwelling units, are pretty similar to what the state wanted, though we have some slight differentiations. But for instance, we already allow accessory dwelling units in every zone in New Canaan when they're attached to dwellings. And we allow it with a zoning permit, which is actually an administrative staff level permit, only when it's detached. And usually that's because it requires septic review or some other level of review. Do we require a special permit? And with respect to multifamily parking, some of the requirements that they asked us to adopt as part of the multifamily parking don't make sense for New Canaan because our community isn't serviced by a large public bus transit system or a large public train station. I mean, so without that public transit, people are driving around our community and need ability to park and keep their cars. I think that's all I had to give you a brief overview. If you have questions, I'm glad to answer them.
Thanks, Lynn. Questions for Lynn? Anybody?
Just
Maria?
one comment, like, is this normal for the state to make a law and then give towns the option to adopt it? Or not
Opt
opt
out.
out? Like, does it?
We wish they would do it for everything.
So PA 2129 included a lot of regulations. One of the other things that we did earlier this year was the marijuana regulation as well, which we chose to opt out of as well. They basically, the state legislature had a very rowdy season last year where there were a lot of bills up for a vote, and some were very successful and some were not. The ones that were successful, HB 6107 is the one that got converted into Public Act 21-29. And there's a list of several new rules that took effect. Like for instance, starting January 1st of 2023, planning and zoning commissioners are now required to get 4 hours of training throughout the course of the year. We had the marijuana opt-out, they have the multifamily parking, there's the ADUs. They changed a lot of stuff. They updated some stuff and made some changes overall to the zone rules and the statute.
Thanks, Lynn. Anybody else? Questions? Robin?
I just have a question about the parking. Why is it that with a smaller multifamily unit, there are 2 spaces, but for a larger, there's only a space and a half?
I unfortunately was not here when they created that, but typically the larger the community, the smaller the parking, because one would assume that there might be, you might not have as many cars. Just because you have a 3-bedroom apartment, you might have young kids, and so you might have a family in there and you might need 1 car. I mean, alternatively, you might have 4 drivers, but the math is that's the way it typically works out for larger developments. You would start going down in number.
Thanks.
Lynn, do you remember what the overall vote was at P and Z?
The vote at P&Z for both was unanimous. They chose unanimously to opt out of both.
Thank you. All right, anybody else have any questions, discussion? Need a motion then?
I'll make the motion.
Mike makes a motion, second. Christina? All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much.
Take care. All right, committee reports. We kind of agree that it's kind of late. It's 9:18.
Yes.
I would like to just hear from bylaws and ordinance on a meeting date and the agenda for their meeting, because that's coming up.
So I just sent out an agenda for a meeting on Tuesday, the 22nd, to consider the ice rink advertising issue. That's the only one that I think is on the
okay.
schedule right now.
What time?
7 o'clock, Zoom only,
Zoom only?
When is this again?
next Tuesday, the 22nd.
Yeah, that's a proposal to put up interior advertising in the rink at Waveney in a temporary situation. And obviously we have an existing ordinance, so that'll be a good topic. All right, we'll skip through education, finance, and government. I think everything else, we'll get reports the next time we meet, unless anybody has anything pressing. Park and Rec.
Steve, we are meeting December 7th for a public hearing.
Yeah, well, that's also going to be a long one though, probably.
On
but,
what?
December 7th, we can do committee reports. Unless we add, Tucker, on the 7th, what do we have on the agenda so far?
Just the parcel K, that's the public hearing. You're required to have a public hearing on the sale of real property.
Right. So we do need to schedule a public hearing to follow up from tonight on health. So on health. That's like the next step.
Cell tower.
Cell tower. So would it make sense if we're going to gather on the 7th to add that? Because this parcel K is nothing, right? I mean, that's like a 5-minute deal.
Yeah.
How does everybody feel about December 7th? You're gonna be giving up a night, probably
What day of the week is it?
The Wednesday.
Wednesday night. And it's, on the health issue, obviously, we'll probably double the amount of participation, I would think.
As long as we don't schedule the town council meeting on the same night.
Yeah, that's fine. So I think it's an opportunity we have to do the one adopted, one that we're gathering for, but we might as well use the time to continue our conversation, I think. I mean, I think it makes sense.
And I think just the public could maybe save, like, don't bring in anyone to speak before.
Yeah, the only,
Presenting though, it's right. It's not just about, it's about giving them information that they can react to, isn't it?
right, yeah. And I think it's important that if we're going to talk about health, then we need to get our arms around RF studies and,
Yep.
those are the kinds, those are
That's-
the.
There's some ideas.
I will have some presented.
Would you have something for that, Kevin? Okay, good. So, it may take more than one meeting on that topic, depending on where it goes, but I think it's a good start.
But if that's the only thing on the agenda, then we can give it the appropriate amount of time.
Yes,
Would that be a 6 or a 7 o'clock? meeting?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock for sure. Yeah, so we'll run through, Tucker, we'd run through that one item pretty quickly within 10 minutes and go right into,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
And then the regular meeting for the town council is Wednesday, December 14th.
Yeah, so we have a meeting a week later that we'll hear committee reports, et cetera, on the 14th. The other item, 11, we're going to put on an agenda meeting or a meeting to continue talking about the Affordable Housing Committee formation. That's 11/28 at 6 p.m. So we'll start, that's just a very, very basic beginning meeting, but we'll get that on the agenda as well. We're going to have to notice that. That's 11/28/22 at 6 p.m.
And who conducts that meeting?
We're putting it through general government, I think. So Mark will be conducting it. And then I asked Mark from general government with Maria
And then Tom.
and Tom and Hillary from bylaws and ordinances to get together on that one.
And so their meeting, we're not all meeting.
No, you don't have to. You can participate by Zoom. You can, this is the very beginning of that conversation. So, but we're happy to take the input from everybody. All right, let's see.
Clarifying question, because we're going to start the budget process
Yeah,
starting now. And that process, that CapEx process that I had suggested, was I supposed to be sending that to the government committee or was it to the bylaws and ordinances? 'Cause maybe I had that
General
wrong.
government, because
Everybody.
it's process, but it would be, I think it's a discussion that we're gonna have to have. So we probably should just, at this point, circulate it
to
to
everybody.
everybody. Yeah,
Okay.
and then we'll put it on the agenda for the 14th
Okay.
to discuss it.
Thanks.
Just remind me, Rita, to get it on there, will you? Okay. What else? I think that, anybody else have anything? Got a lot of dates coming up and a lot of holidays, but hopefully everybody will have a great Thanksgiving. I want to thank the first responders tonight for coming out and the public, obviously. That was a long meeting, and thank you for everybody that participated. And with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, that's Christina and Hillary seconds. Tucker, feel better out there?
Feel better, Tucker.
Thank you. Good night.